Well, here we are, second rig video. Today's one we're going to do the Portsmouth Loop Rig. See the loop there, hence the name Loop. It's a great rig for matches or just scratching around, or when you want to get two fairly small baits a very long way out. Where it's clipped up, it can give you that extra distance that you need. Great for place. Seeing as it's play season, so we're sort of following a theme here. So rigs you can use targeting place. Portsmouth Loop Rig has got to be up there with one of the best. Again, when it hits the water, it will hit the imp, disconnect, and there you've got two different length snoods fishing away for your place. So I'll get into that now and I'll show you how to make it. Right, so this is some of the gear we're going to be using. Couple of things are duplicated, but it's just to show you what else is out there. So you've got the dyno swivel clip, which is the same basically as the good old-fashioned breakaway cascade swivel. So it's a swivel with an integrated clip that you can clip your hook onto. And move them out the way, you can see on the picture. So that's the Enova version, rated to 60 pound, and then you got the cascade swivel, which looks like that. So they're basically the same. They're used on the bottom snood. 95 pound swivel, the snood stops, sequence. Again, just going to use Camazan hooks. Amnesia 10 pound, that's for the hook link. 70 pound for the rig body. You can go lighter. Again, just remember 10 pound for every ounce of lead you're using. I'll just use 70 just for that extra safety factor. Again, using orange and red purely for the purposes of the camera. I would always go clear. And power gum, I prefer to make stop knots on the rig body instead of using crimps. Purely just I just don't feel comfortable crimping lines. I know hundreds and thousands of people do, but I just prefer that. There's another reason I prefer stop knot, is that if your snood snaps or you need to change your snood, it's a lot easier to then just adjust the stop knot than having to try and figure out exactly where to cut your snood line to replace it. And then the good old-fashioned breakaway imp. Right, so you start off with your length of rig body. I'll go my usual fingertips. This time I'll go to about my shoulder, the straight arm, and cut that off. This one I always work from the bottom up. Now again, your rig body you can make as long or as short as you want, because then that determines how long or how short your top snood is going to be. Your bottom hook or length of snood is determined by the size of the loop that you tie on, plus the obviously the actual hook length itself. So we'll start off here with the breakaway imps. I have in here one that I prepared earlier. So pop your imps together. Again, I'll use another swivel on the top. Again, that's just to help stop the lead twisting up the rig body. And that is an Enova 95 pound breaking strain. So tie that on. Come on. Pompey Loop Rig is great. Ian Gold's designed this rig. He's used it, and many other match anglers have used it to great effect over the years. Enables you to have a short, compact rig, but gives you the option of having a really long bottom snood and a shorter top snood. So effectively, it's a one up, one down, but it's clipped up. Then your beads. So I'll take a bead. Now this will just be a normal swivel. So I'll just go with the smaller size swivel. another bead. Now if you were using crimps, you would slide your crimp on first, then your bead, swivel, bead, and then another crimp, and then the same up at the top for the second one. You can have 3 snoods on this, but I prefer just to have 2. You'll see why I'm sliding this on later, because I'll be using the power gum stop and tying stop knots on there, so I can manipulate my snoods up and down the rig body as required. And then another small swivel. And finally your bead. Then take another one of the bigger swivels and tie that onto the top of the hook length. And that's the start of your rig body done. What I'll do now is tie the stop knots on. So for that I use the power gum. I use the red anyway, even on my own rigs, or you can use the clear, but I use the red because it's just easier to see. So to tie on your stop knot, get a length of the power gum, lay it alongside your rig body, pinch the two together, then create a loop with the power gum so it goes over the top of the rig body, and then you feed that through that loop that you just fed, and then back over the rig body. Oops, come on. Through the loop, back over the rig body, through the loop, back over the rig body, through the loop. And on the bottom stop, I'll always do 5 turns. It just makes it harder for it to slide down through that loop, and then pull on both ends of the power gum, and you'll see that will cinch up nice and tight. And there you've got the stop knot. These you can cut off really close, so it's nice and neat, nothing flapping about or getting in the way. And there you go. Slide that right down to the bottom. It does take some force, so it's not going to come down or stretch during your cast or when the fish is on. If a bigger fish takes it, the chances are it probably will be able to pull it down, but what's really nice is you can then just slide it back into place. Bottom beads and swivels then sit on top of that, and now you just repeat that process, except on the top I'll only do 3 turns. So 1, 2, 3. Pull that tight. The reason for the 3 is because nothing really is going to be pulling it back up towards the top of the rig. So this one is purely just to hold the beads in place. Snip that down. And slide that down, and then there, that's sitting there perfectly. And then we'll do it again up at the top. So form your loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. Then you just repeat that process up on the top. But again, you're only doing it 3 times through the loop. So 1, 2, 3. pull that tight. Snip that off. And snip that off. Now slide those right up to the top. And there you go, that's now the top of your rig. That will slide down when you tie your snood on, because we'll then be able to stretch that down to where we need it to be for when we tie on our snoods. Now the next step is to essentially tie the loop. For this purpose of the video, I'll just use the 60-pound leader, purely because I don't have anything in. I'd usually use 30 or 40 pound. Again, it's just to help kick that snood away from the rig body. If it's too light, it's not really going to pull itself away and it can tangle. So you want about 1.5 foot. Tie the one end onto the swivel, and the other end will go onto your Cascade swivel, or your equivalent from Innova, which is the Dyno swivel clip. I think there's not a couple other companies that make the same. I think Tronics Pro do one too. I'm not sure. I think Leader might do one, but I'm not 100% sure. Get that nice and tight. Perfect. I'll use the Cascade swivels from this rig. Just take the one. So you're going to put the line through the big loop at the top. Sorry, I just thought there was customers about to walk in. Right, that is the loop part. Just the length of the line with the Cascade swivel on the end. Then tie your snood on, or your hook length on. I like to use 15 pound, 10 to 15 pound, depending on the conditions. So you tie that on to the bottom loop of the Cascade swivel. 1, 2, 3. Through that loop. And then 3 times around the loop that's just been created. Bit of gob oil, and then that will cinch up nicely. Now, depending on how big the worm is that you're using, or how big your baits, that determines how long this bit is. I'd usually go for about 6 inches, because you don't. The whole point of the rig is that you want 2 baits, one behind each other and as close to the lead as possible. So you don't want a massive long snood at the bottom, because remember, you're going to have that on the loop bit. So 6 inches. Get your bait stop. Pop the green on this time, because it should stand up against the red nicely. Same as before, put your line through the loop and then just push it on, and then it pulls through, and now it's on. If you're fishing for place, which is what this rig will be used for, in the next couple of weeks, or if you're just scratching around and using it in general fishing terms, you don't have to put beads on, just your usual sequin bait stop. But as soon as we're going for place, we'll go Today let's do something different. We'll go black and green today, which is another popular color combination. So black, green, come on, get black and green, and then your sequin. And then the old faithful Camazan B940 in size 2. And there you go. It's the bottom part of your snood. Now you can take your hook length, tie that onto your top swivel. Again, just using the 10 pound. You don't have to worry about using a higher braking strain, because like even if you're casting with 66 ounce leads or higher, because the force of the cast will be taken by the rig body and not your hook snoods. Now, the best thing to do here to try and to help you get an accurate cut is pop a lead on, doesn't matter which one, and then hold your rig body up. Clip your hook into the imp. So you can see where your cascade swivel is going to be. Lift up, pinch the two and lift up the rig, and then just grab the snood, your top snood, and then pull it up. So you know, okay, that's where you need to cut it. And then again, bait stop, let's go with green again. And we'll go with black and green again on the top snood. Sequin, and then your hook. Tie that on. And that is your loop rig pretty much done. Now this is where I enjoy and prefer using the bait stops. Let me move all this out the way and I can show you. Right, back. Right, so this is how it all goes together. Take your bottom snood, clip that onto your imp. Use the weight to pull it away just to keep everything nice and tight whilst you're doing this. top snood hook goes onto there. Pull that all up and tighten together, and that's how it's now going to sit. Now you'll notice that the snood is pulling down at an angle on this, so I'm just going to reposition the camera and I'll show you why I used the stop knots instead of the crimps. Alright, reposition the camera. So you can see now where the snood is obviously slightly shorter than it needs to be, it's created a bow on the line. Now you don't want to leave it like that, because that means all the casting pressure is going to go through the snood, and where it being 10 pound, that's going to snap. So just gently work it down. It might be quite hard at first because remember that is a 5-turn stop knot, so it's going to be quite stiff, which is what you want. Just keep working it down until it sits how it should do. Then bring your top stop knot down, and there you go. So when you come up, everything's clipped nice and tight, and there you can see the loop, hence Portsmouth Loop Rig. So you got a nice compact 2-hook clipped rig with both baits in line and behind the lead. On impact with the water, it will hit this and then everything comes down. Generally the way it will fish is your grip lead will be gripped in. This lead will be, if the tide's flowing from you, the camera, to me, it will pull that away from the lead, and this one will be fishing again away from the lead. Remember, over distance your rig isn't sitting like that, so when you're fishing at any distance over say 40-50 yards, if not closer, your line's more like that, and then that's fishing whichever way the tide is pushing. That's it, Portsmouth Loop Rig. So now that we've made the classic 2-hook rig, you can make this a 3-hook if you wanted to. So you could also change the length of the rig body, so you could have a shorter top snood and a really long bottom snood. To do that, obviously just when you first make up your rig body, you would need to change this swivel to another cascade, and then you would slide on another swivel and set of beads like this further up. So you'll have swivel, beads, and then you'll have another set of beads and your cascade swivel, and then this part stays the same. So you'll have 2 shorter snoods if you wanted 3 hooks. Again, I've used 10 pound on this. You can change that if you're not comfortable with 10 pound, or if you're fishing slightly more rougher areas, so mussel beds, things like that, then I would advise upping your hook lengths to 15, 20, or even 25 pound. Again, these videos are just instructional, show you how to make them. You can use whatever rig components, whatever line, diameter, strength, or brand you want. These are just purely instructional to show you guys how to make them. Again, you don't have to use an imp. You got splashdowns, which are really great, especially if you're off the ground casting. The splashdown will hold that hook in there properly. So when you lay the hook on the ground, so even if you don't keep tension on your line when it's on the ground and it tends to bow, that hook won't fall out. The splashdown will keep it in. Imps, great for if you're an aerialized caster, if you're just flicking it up in there, turning and hitting it, pendulum casting, any of that sort of that type of casting. Use the imps. Splashdowns if you're off the ground casting. It's a great rig. Like I say, you can make this 2 hooks, 3 hooks. You can change the size of the loop. You can make it bigger, longer. As long as you use a higher breaking strain on this loop, 30, 40, 50, or even the same material as the rig body, 60, 70 pound, it won't tangle. It will help push it out. I'll show you again. Unclipping it. It automatically wants to go. I had to flick it there because I didn't clip it up properly, but I had it wrapped around. But that will come out, and then that will fish and automatically want to push it away. It's a great hook, a great rig. I've used this in matches and caught some small fish on it, and I've caught some big fish on it. It really is a great versatile rig, can be used anywhere in the country. it's just one of those rigs that you know you can rely on to either scratch out something or fish two different baits. A lot of guys will fish, especially on the bottom hook, in areas where you know that you can get rays, plus you get your whiting and your dogs. They'll fish a small sandy or bait on the bottom hook and then a worm bait on the top, so you're fishing for two different things at the same time. Really versatile, really great. Can't recommend it highly enough. The next rig we'll do, I'll shoot out during the week. Probably going to do a bomber rig. Again, like I say, keeping in tune with the place theme, and then we'll start switching on as we go through the year. I'll start putting up rig videos on the rigs that you would use to target the species that are available at the time. Most of the time it would be the same sort of rig, like you could use the through a clip down, but it would just have pop-ups on it for example for bream, or if you're just scratching around, it's the same rig. They all catch the same fish, but we'll put them up as the year goes through, showing you what to target. Rigs that I like to use, targeting rays, smooth downs, and the rigs that a lot of other guys do. So if there's any rigs you guys want me to show you how to make that I'm not going to cover or haven't mentioned covering, pop a comment up and I'll do it. This is all just for you guys, so yeah, till next time, see ya.